you smile. I love you smile. I love you smile. Why don't you smile? We've been thinking about some positive changes. We need some positive changes. Thinking about some positive.
And now today's host, Imam Ezekiel Pasha.
Welcome back to the Thinker live stream program. We're here with our host, Imam Ezekiel Pasha, and I am Brother Philip, and we are here with Sister Marsha. And we're in the second part of our program for today, and I believe Sister Marsha has a question for our host, Imam. Brother Imam, Sister Marsha.
Yes, thank you. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Imam. Ramadan Mubarak.
Wa alaikum assalam, Sister Marsha, Ramadan Mubarak.
I would like to speak on first, nationally, the January 6th insurrection. They're going to begin hearings next week. They've had a lot of discussion of that last year when it took place. But my question is, with that hearing coming up, how do you think that would influence the upcoming elections?
Yes, we're in a unique time in our country in terms of what is referred to as midterm elections, which are based in all of the states. And over the last, I guess, 20 years, if not more, our country, America, has had to be meeting some very unique challenges in terms of the influence in the world, but also in our country, of the tactic, I would say, of divide and conquer. Strong efforts have been made based upon the ideology that America stands upon, its Constitution, and its high principles that it espouts in the words within the constitutions and in the preambles and the amendments and etc., to where the past 20 years on the political level, we've seen the strong efforts of division as Americans. Not a unifying effort. And when unifying efforts were made, there was strong pushback to try to exploit or point out our differences in efforts to divide and win elections, both local and state assemblies and senates and governorships and etc., with an agenda to really make America kind of a leadership of dictatorship, a one-party system, so to speak, to have it where one party dominates and change laws and rules, and ones that have been proven to be productive for America and its democracy and the pitch it has in the world, to change that. As I said, it's not only happened in America, but we see that has picked up steam throughout the world. And certainly in, I have to say, in European countries, which America kind of don't promote itself as such, but is dominated by the European or one particular race. The history shows dominated, and now I have to use color conscious, unfortunately, for clarity, of the white race of different ethnic backgrounds being the dominant feature in America. And our picture in that was people who was enslaved in America, along with the Native Americans and others in terms of that. So with that said, even with the election of President Barack Obama, the former president Barack Obama, that seemed it was going to give some steam of crossing these boundaries that was being put up of separation and people look to it as a future better in terms of not as much as those who promoted it as him being a person of African descent, but really more of a person of a balanced life, because both his parents, one African, one European, was an effort to bring in the humanity to this thing. And Americans turned out to do that. But those who still want to have a European or white dominance never stop fighting in terms of wanting to have, say, equality and justice and all of these things. But in reality, setting up local governments, governorships, senates, and all these things, controlling so that they could say that, but in the meantime, it always would keep them in a dominant position, in control, while giving a false image of fairness and justice and what have you, and then using the laws that they make, which are unjust laws, but then stand behind those unjust laws and what have you. So America has this long history of that, and claiming one picture, yet pushing another, and there's always that conflict between the minorities who are there and calling them out for that, saying you're saying one thing, but you structure things in a manner to make sure I never can get past this particular mark or goal. And the explosion of the January 6th overthrow of the government, which is what it was, orchestrated by the sitting president at the time, Donald Trump. I'm sure somewhere in history, the historians would be able to point out that they took it from a playbook somewhere in the history of America. I don't know exactly where, but I'm sure it was there, and they strategized. And we know part of that was there because of the so-called freedom of the slaves, those of us who were enslaved in America, and the defeating of the South, the Southern people who still wanted slavery as an economic control, turned around and in a short period of time got back that control, and we had Jim Crow and all these other oppressive things that took place. So that same snake head is sticking its head up and what have you, and becoming very popular because those who want to maintain be the dominant group and the dominant authority, even though they may be less in numbers, and that because of America's ideology, philosophy of inviting your poor, your this, your that, to come here, now they're looking at, wait a minute, the numbers look like these folks may outnumber us, so therefore, in order for us to keep our dominance in our higher situation, we must restructure rules, laws, legislations, and etc. So no matter what, even if we become a minority, we still will be the majority in terms of authority over the people and have the benefits. As it gives you a picture of South Africa, which has not been really solved. We still got the same circumstances there, most of it, though the great sacrifices and things that went with President Nelson Mandela, may God be pleased with him, and so many others, that they still don't have the economic control that they should have. And in recent times, in a lot of the Caribbean islands, just in 2000-something, declaring their independence from Britain and all these other things. So we're in a very time of prophecy in the annal of mankind, and one group seeking to dominate all the rest of the groups. And we see that there's a battle taking place as to, are you going to accept to rekindle one group dominating the whole world, or is this going to be a world where we come to know each other and have better relationship with each other, and share in the natural resources of each other in a fair and equitable way. So we're living in a time. So now these gathering of information, documentations, etc., that have been taking place on the January 6th, and the many things that have been coming out to the public on recordings and other things that are being said, the issue is that the voice of the communication systems seems not to be in the control of the majority, but in the control of the minority. As I said before, the media in America and around the world, for that much, is controlled by 5 to 10 individuals who were part of that whole overthrow of the government, the Billionaire and Trillionaire Club. They were supportive of that. They pay people way to get there, and so forth and so on, and it's factual. So they are using their economics and their influence over the control over the messaging center to the people, and they're dominating it to even the point where the current President Biden, all you hear from the media is about how his numbers are down. His numbers are down. But when you look at what the man has done through a crisis and everything else, the jobs are up, this is up, that's up, but all of them keep reporting about, oh, his numbers are down, because the masters behind the people we see in front of us on the television are telling them that's what you better say, and what have you. So they, oh yes, he did this, he did that, but his numbers are down. Yes, he did this, he did that, but his numbers are down. So unless the people wake up to that and realize that that's what's going on, and not bite into that bitter, rotten apple of false information, a terrible thing happened. That the sitting president of the United States called for overthrow of the American government, period. All the evidence is there, it's clear as a bell. He did that along with the support of the media and what have you. He did that. And then stacked the courts, the Supreme Court, so that in all the other courts systems with people who would favor that insurrection, so that if you went to those courts, they would use the law of the land to justify what was done. I mean, we know this as people have been enslaved in our country for all the years, 400 plus years, that the injustices when crimes were committed against us, be it by law enforcement or other authorities, how they would stack the deck might as well put relatives of those who killed us on the jury. And you never found an officer straight in front of us, beat a man down to what's in front of us, choke him. Rare occasions would just happen in terms of a man kneeling and choking the brother right before the whole world and what have you. But there's thousands of cases like that, that justice has not been found, because they said, well, let's move it to another neighborhood where those are unlikely, the jury there is unlikely to find them guilty of the overwhelming evidence, film, documented, the whole 9 yards, and say, oh, no, they didn't do nothing. Or there was find some justification for letting them go free without any situation. I think it's recent one here we just seen where, I don't know the details, but I think it was some kind of traffic stop that led to now a young man getting shot in the back of his head by a police officer. Now, how is that possible? A traffic stop. There's all kind of procedural things that an officer is supposed to take and do before such a thing like that can happen on a traffic stop. No, man had no gun, no drugs, wasn't shooting somebody, but he's dead from a traffic stop for who knows what a traffic stop even was for. You know, did he go through a stop sign, or was one blinking, his bulb was out or something, and now he's dead? And the perpetrator of that death can simply said, I was feared for my life. And that's enough for a jury of, quote unquote, his peers to let him go. This is a unique time that we're living in, and this is so many, it keep happening, the same cases over and over again. the one with George Floyd is just a rarity that there was a guilty verdict even found. Period. And who knows whether that person will serve the time or not. There's a strategy also. They'll wait for years and years when things are different. Sometimes they'll wait cases 2-3 years before they even bring them up. Hopefully memories will be forgotten and this will be what's the name. And then bring the case up and the person walks. So we in a very a time that it questions our humanity. It questions our application of government. When a person can stack a court with those who favor his or her ideas and concepts and don't even have to be qualified. We have the new justice that's going to be hopefully installed. What's her name? I forget her name. Brown. Is it? What's her name?
Brown Johnson.
Is it Johnson? Right. It is
Yes,
Johnson, though,
Brown
right?
Johnson.
Yeah.
First name.
Right. And the record shows that her qualification and experience as a justice overweighs anyone sitting on the Supreme Court right now. So the other ones there was more favored than anything else. But they're put there to carry out a particular circumstance. So we're in a very unique time in seeing how this is going to unfold. But I know as Americans and what have you, we have to speak to this here. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. President Donald Trump called for overthrow and orchestrated the overthrow of a government to keep himself in power. And all the facts before our lying eyes, as they would say, don't believe your lying eyes. We're sitting there watching it and what have you. And that's what they try to say. Well, there's other circumstances. What other circumstances? You want a man back and took your gut out, shot him in the head. What other circumstances? What other circumstances could it be? And he was running away from you, trying to get away from you because you tried to shoot him first with a stun gun or some kind of thing. And I guess he's trying to say, what are you starting for? I ain't did nothing. And then you're going to shoot him instinct. You're going to grab him and say, oh, wait a minute. Okay, your instincts. You're going to shoot me with some, wait a minute, hold up here. And run around. You're going to chase him all around circles and everything else and then jump on him on his back. You got him now. You're on his back. He's down. You're on his back. And you shoot him in the head. It's just you can't make up these horrible stories that's happening in America and around the world, But again, I don't know what this committee or how it's going to do and how it's going to affect the election. But I know the side that controls the media is working 24 hours a day to give the public who's got to elect, they have to go and do the election, trying to give it to favor them, and saying to you, don't believe your lying eyes. Go and vote for us and put us back in, because we're gonna do X, Y, and Z, and trying to make inflation and all that stuff, gas price and all this stuff, like President Biden has something to do with that. That has more to do with the billionaire club than anybody else. Inflation is not made by God or nature. It's made by the nature of human beings doing things to hold back production and et cetera and what have you. That's what creates inflation. Yeah, that's how it gets there. So it can easily be solved. And like I said, when you tell me it's shortage this, shortage that, and then here again, because of technology, I look on the TV and I see 4 million boats sitting out there with stuff stacked up as high as the ocean and what have you, and you tell me there's a shortage. Well, who's making them stay out there? Right. Wait a minute. Again, to think of it is insulting, is that you think people are that stupid?
Right.
I hope not. Right. I hope not. And I hope no matter what, they're putting restrictions in your way. They made a false thing and pushing this narrative. Again, they control the media. That there was cheating or there was this, that, and the other. Woo, the devil is a bad man. The devil is a bad man. The devil is, and he's vicious and he will never stop. His schemes are weak, but if he can influence you to accept them, then you carry it out. So hopefully the people will see it for what it is, because if that mindset and that thinking dominates and gets back in the office, I think we're going to have a real problem in our country, America. There's going to be a real problem and what have you in terms of. But I'm hoping that the masses of people, I think the masses of people are not going for this, but they better show up at those polls and everywhere else they can to exercise, no matter what the circumstances they try to put in their way, and exercise to know we're not going to accept you coming back in here. You express your ideas. Governors of Florida, governors of this state, that state, coming up with all kind of circumstances to interfere with individual lives. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So much so when President Obama was there and was trying to provide health care for the whole country, that the governors wouldn't even accept the money to give people in their state health care. Remember that stuff. These same governors who's trying to now dominate and get back the Senate and and the Democrats got a lot to do for because they just don't give a good picture of what they're doing. Now, I ain't with the Democrat or Republican, that concepts like that. You got to register to be somebody, but they don't do a good job. And the main thing, they have a hard time doing a good job because they don't control the media. The billionaires control the media. So their messaging, since they're trying to get out their message, is very difficult when you got to go to your enemy and have your enemy tell your positive story. So I don't know what will happen. I pray to God that the American people, all of us, put down this color conscious thing that they're feeding us again and put up our human conscious and the concern for America being truly the America that we all want. Home of the brave, land of the free, where all of us can have a productive life and share in the good life and the productivity of America for all of our sakes, and not allow them to put laws and rules in place. Remember, they put unjust law to say they justify. They made a law to say enslavement was legal. Was it legal before God? Was it legal in scriptures? No. But they went and did it. And they're looking to do it again. So inshallah, God willing.
Well, I would like to speak about our last week, and we had our Jelly No Good walk. And I'm bringing that up because Mayor Adams, he met with the commanders of all the precincts in New York City. So I wanted to speak about the Jelly No Good walk that we had, the message, and then with the mayor meeting with the commanders, I see something that a message that we had will also be relative to what he would need to discuss with the commanders and the precincts.
Yes, yes. Well, Mayor Eric Adams, I think he's been in office now maybe a little over 100 days or something like that. And we voted for him, and I believe he has good intentions and motivations for what he's doing. But like any leader, if you don't have good people around you, then you'll wind up going to one meeting when you should be at another one. You'll wind up inviting people to the table when you're excluding others that should be invited to the table who are actually doing the work. So leadership has to depend on sincere people around them to understand the mandate that they want and what they want carried out, and to make sure they invite all of the parties that have been doing these things long before he became mayor that should be at the table. So that, I think, is something that needs to be addressed with the mayor, because here for, I don't know how many years now, 20 plus years, I think, that we have had walking through our community to remind our young people and our older people simply that jail ain't no good. And we did that because we've seen a pattern of our young people, in particular, girls and boys, believing going to jail gave them some kind of badge of honor. And we wanted to throw a wrench into that thinking and saying jail is no good. And when you commit a crime and go, it's not only you who go there, but your parents go, your community suffer. There's a lot of people that suffer with you for every day that you have to be in jail. So the jail ain't no good walk for 20 years have been reminding about that and having impact on awakening the minds of young and old to turn away from this. And we've joined by many youth organizations that joined with us. Sister Aisha Sekou and her organization and others joins with us to point that out and what have you in a clear voice. And we walk through our neighborhood, Harlem, to make that known. And it has had great impact and importance on it. And we wish the mayor, or at least a representative of his, would have joined us in such a thing, and then also engage us in some of these meetings he's having, so that there'll be another voice of clarity about these things and crime reduction. Crime reduction is for all of us in terms of that. And we've had this long-standing relationship with our 2A precinct and the Community Affairs Department, which is a very vital department inside of the police department. It's very rare, if ever, have I heard, a community affairs officer engaging in shooting any individual.
That's right.
They've been a body that's been a liaison between reasoning and what have you within community circumstances when things boil over.
Yes.
And they've been able successful to calm the waters because they're there all the time.
Yes.
And we've had some great leadership of the Community Affairs Department that we have worked with for all the years that I've been here and prior to, and what have you, to make sure that if something happens, that we can go to the police department, can come to those leaders because of the long-standing relationship with that community affairs unit to be able to step up and will help to try to calm waters and what have you. So that's a very important part, to know the people in the community who have that kind of influence. The mayor, in terms of him making his efforts to do what he's doing, we applaud him for it, and he knows it. But the key that I see is that he's going to have to get more people around to be able to reach out, and not only to just their people they know and what have you, and invite in, but to be able to invite in others who are really doing the work. His people need to get out and find out who's really who in the community that's there doing things. As a matter of fact, we had gotten a request from a student from Columbia University that I seen, and happened to see the walk through Harlem. But I don't tend to respond to him or engage him, because his first message was he's seen the protests.
Right. It wasn't.
So what kind? So your media, your whole mindset is not one that we want to talk to you about at all, because there was no protest.
Right.
There was a walk through Harlem, awakening our folks. Simply, jail ain't no good,
That's right.
and there's other greater things you can do with your life than to go to jail and hurt your family, your mother, your father, your grandparents, the neighborhood, and etc. So for someone who he puts all these master's degrees and everything else he's got in journalism, I wonder, what are they teaching you in there that you see us walking in such calm manner with police officers and all joining in with us and etc. And you call it a protest? That's the mindset that I'm talking about.
Right.
Here's a peaceful walk through our community. We ain't in some else's community. We in Harlem. We live here.
That's right.
We've been here. We here 100 years, and what have you, and we walking through it. But your instruction, the way they teach you to give you master's degrees and doctor's degrees, and he put all that on there, and what have you. Oh, I seen your protest. What protest?
Right.
I wouldn't give them the time of day. So when you see that one, I'm gonna ask you to tell them, I put a big NG on that. Because whoever's teaching you at Columbia University, they're teaching you to keep things oppressed. They're teaching you to exaggerate and what have you, and not tell the truth of what really happened. A calm, peaceful walk through our neighborhood. The times we did before, walk through the neighborhood with brooms and everything else, the men, and picking up garbage and sweeping floors and everything, and talking to store owners and see if we can do things to help keep the block clean. Was that a protest too? No. So you want things that you can talk to us about, and won't say anything we say. Put what you want to put together. So you'll never get an interview with us on that. We'll keep doing what we're doing. So praise be to God. I mean, if there's any more details there, please just remind me.
So with the mayor meeting with the commanders, as you mentioned, the community affairs, so community policing, that's part of
Community
what needs
policing,
to
right,
be
yeah.
included in, hopefully that's what he discussed, they said it was behind closed doors, but
Mm-hmm.
as you were saying, representation of those who are already doing that in the communities to speak to those individuals so that could be implemented in what he's planning to do with the commanders.
Yes, I mean, he should know that, but I don't excuse him because he was a borough president of Brooklyn.
Yes,
He was also a state senator.
that's right.
So he should know the circumstance. He was into the police department as a commander. And some things in that department need to be behind, I hate that they use that word behind closed doors. No, there are certain things that have to be discussed in-house,
Yes,
you know, so that when you come out that house, you know, there's certain things that we discuss in-house. And when my children come out that house, you'll see the results of that in-house, conversation and what have you. And say, oh, he came back and apologized to me for putting my garbage can over. Well, I thank you very much. I'm glad you told me he did.
I'm happy you mentioned Eddie, ma'am, because that's what I was thinking also, because some of the commanders were saying that the meeting, they felt it was positive and they feel that there's something's going to be productive out of that. You say in-house, so whatever they discussed,
Yeah.
that they felt, okay, we see
In-house.
that
We
the
need to have an
mayor
in-house.
is-
There's
right.
times that you need in-house discussions. You know, I mean, that's it. Now, when you're in-house, you have the discussions, and then they go out and still do the same thing.
Right,
Now there's some disciplines have to be put in place. Removals have to be done, so forth and so on. But you first give them the ability to explain to me, why did you knock over Miss Johnson's garbage can? Why did you do X, Y, and Z?
and some of the commanders said that they didn't have the instructions, which they said the mayor was pretty, puzzled
Right,
by
straight
that.
on. And they didn't have the instruction on what to do.
Right.
Yeah, why
And
not?
that's something, and that's
So there's
exactly
a
what they said
situation
he
where your
said.
chiefs, your
Right.
deputy chiefs, your what's
Right.
name, who is usurping the voices going down. So that's what he's trying to figure it all out and say, wait a minute, let me see where my weak spots are. Now, I'm sure, because he's been in there, so he ain't got to guess at it, but
Right.
you got to go through procedures.
Right.
And what have you, exactly who is the one that needs to be retired, who refuses to, what's name, who's the one that's working for something else other than the people of the city of New York,
Right.
and what have you, those kind of things. So I believe, I said, he has good intent, and hopefully he will have more people reach out to the grassroots community, people who are on the ground doing this,
Right, that would
and know where the problem lies in terms of youth and what have you. And I know he's working on tremendously trying to create a lot of youth jobs and what have you, which can keep them busy and away from quote unquote, they call them gangs, but gang, they just got too much time on their hand to do nothing.
Right.
Where you need to have them back in school, getting additional education, recreational situations,
That's right.
things that keep children. I remember when we was younger, and we had cadet corps, all those things that led us to looking at the field of policing, looking at the field of becoming a fire department personnel, sanitation, looking at joining Peace Corps, looking at potential military careers and what have you. So all of these things here, those kind of openings, understanding economics, real estate, all of these things there, put those youth in those kind of situations over the summer and what have you, and can give them credit on their grades
Yes.
and what have you, and they're making a few dollars too, so that keeps them off the street. It's not rocket science. It's been done before, but you got to have the right personnel to carry it out with the right spirit and stay on it. So praise be to God. You reduce crime in a minute.
Yes, Brother Ma'am. Could you just talk about any new updates as into Inkster? Because I know you've been out there working, trying to put a community together, and it's been a whole tedious process. So could you just comment on it and let us update?
Well, praise be to God. Inkster, Michigan. Oh, Lord have mercy. Praise be to God. Yes, you're right. We have been, Brother Warif is out there. He lives out there now and holding the fort. His wife is there with him, which has become a great, tremendous help. And the people of Inkster, we've had a great increase of help of the people seeing our good work and stepping up to help us with that work. Our recent ability to open up finally one of our projects, which is the Inkster Family Skating Rink, has begun to increase in terms of more participation from families and children, which is why we had the skating rink as a positive way to enjoy family, enjoy skating, which is a good form of exercise too at the same time. And we've taken on a lot of our youth to get them involved working in the skating ring and what have you. And so that's been a plus towards all the things we want to do. Our main thrust is to get our school out there fully functioning all of its capacity. And we're doing some of it in phases. We're going to start having more activity within our auditorium there. We have several requests from several groups, gospel groups. Others want to utilize it. We also had recently a teenage group that grew up out there in Inkster, because inside of our roller rink, we have what we call Inkster Wall of Fame. People who came from Inkster that achieved a lot in their lives and etc. And we had a group, they were young men in Inkster High School, and they used to come over and dance in the Inkster skating rink. So they're doing a documentary on them. They now, up in age, 58, 60, so forth and so on. And the school they went to, Inkster High School, had been torn down. So they had nowhere to go to for the time that they were teenagers to do the documentary. So the only thing that was left was the roller rink. So that worked out. So where they come and ask us, could they sit and do the interview within the roller rink? And they did. And it appeared in, I think, a newspaper. We took pictures with them and what have you. And some people probably remember their names. They won a lot of dancing contests, the group. And they had a great spirit and what have you. And the many people who have come, especially on our programs on Saturdays and things like that, they bring their children and family, and they just enjoy themselves. We have had others that have come, and it's like anything else, who have come and tried to kill the spirit and go out and make comments about our floor or something, that our floor is too slippery, all kinds of things, and look to damage the positive effort that we're trying to do. But that's to be expected, that's people just do things like that. But our floors, our facility, for most of the people that come in who knew the facility before, years ago when it was open, it's been closed for who knows how many years, come in and say, man, this place is looking 1,000% better than they ever looked at before, and what have you, and they're coming and enjoying it with their children. And it's good to see the children skating. And we have it under on our skating billboard now. We put up there to make it clear in terms of that Inkster Family Skating Rink, positive music to skate by. Letting them know that there's not going to be foul language music, what have you, because you have some great music that you can skate fast by, slow by, get your little rhythm going and everything, that don't have to have a damaging language to our youth. And unfortunately, our youth have been so indoctrinated into what I've seen so far, and skating mechanisms, that the profanity and what have you, and then when you speak to them about it, and some of the DJs we had initially there, and say, no, we don't do that here. We're Muslims, and we don't invite that kind of crowd, to come here and do the funky down and all that kind of stuff, So that's not the kind of music we want. So then they came back and said, well, we got clean music. I said, oh, good, that sounds good, clean, And when they put the music on, what they call clean was simply they beeped out the curse words. And I'm like, obviously, what you mean by clean and what I mean by cleaning, we don't have the same meaning. And that's why I put the language I put on that billboard, positive music to skate by. I said, maybe the word positive will help you out, because whether it's bleeped or not, it's in the psychology of the children's mind already. So whether you bleep it, they know it. So they play these songs that says be this and this, that, and everything else. And then when they go to the YouTubes or thing out there, and we're playing it, and they call this, you put in clean version, and they come it out. So you bleep it out, but they know the stuff. And then you put it on, they jump up the dance to that stuff, or the skate to that stuff. So it's a challenge, So we gearing up. Matter of fact, once the Eid is known to us, the third day of the Eid, we invited the Islamic community to come and skate with us. So there's going to be an invite, Inkster Family Skating Rink, positive music to skate by, and with the sign Eid Mubarak, welcoming the Islamic community for Eid celebration. So God willing, that'll be one. And then right after that one, which I had requests already from church groups, we'll have after that there, again, welcome the gospel skaters, so that those who want to they get gospel, they can skate by and what have you. So we're coming at that unique situation like that. And it seems to be working and picking up little by little. The negative people who put the negative things out there and what have you is being pushed back by the good works. Praise be to God. So, yeah, Inkster is moving along, not as fast as I would like it to move. And we need a lot of help. And I know if Imam W. Muhammad was still physically with us, he would be having a house out there. He would be out there every day. He would be the head pushing our school, the whole 9 yards. But those who say they follow him, they haven't showed up yet. And the truth of the matter is, I'm decided I invite them, and they don't show. So I have decided that I'm going to do what the prophet did, which is what I should have been doing in the first place, and that is invite good people. Just invite the good people. See, there was no Muslims when the prophet started. Now, we know every baby born is Muslim and understand the context, but in terms of those believing in Islam and etc., the prophet brought that to them, and he invited them. So they may have been of some other religious traditions, etc., but they heard him and they came over. Or they may not have had anything, but they heard him and knew him, and they came over to Islam. And that's how Islam built. Invite all the people and see who will come. So that's what we're doing. We're extending our invitation out to all the people now because we can see that we have a lot of resistance from those, again, claiming to follow the Imam and what have you. And the evidence of what they're doing is they want them to be enslaved by rituals and what have you, and not ready to get in there and do the work that's necessary. We work long hours out there in terms of our timeline. And you can go to our website, I'm sure you all will mention it. As a matter of fact, in our introductions that we show some things we should be showing the roller rink in terms of that there. But it's going along, and God willing, our prayers that will pick up, that I'll get more help physically in terms of tradesmen and etc. that can help us push and get our school. We have a lot of roof issues with the school that we need to address, and it's a 280,000 square foot building. There's a lot of roof in order for us to stop leaks and things like that. So we need helping hand. We need financial support to pay for material and what have you to get these things done. But we're moving along. We're still in court with the city of Inkster, and we're hoping that soon the spirit of the current mayor is to try to solve these things, and that's our spirit. But he's getting resistance too from others. But we hope and pray that after this Ramadan that God will bring us the mercy of settlement so that we can open up all the other businesses that we've been trying to open up for 8 years to bring more dignity and a clear picture of Al-Islam under the leadership of Imam W.D. Muhammad and how we work to serve all the people in our community with good and nothing but good. So we're working on it, but we need all the help we can get. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, they had brought to my attention that one of the members of our community who is well known in the music industry and what have you, it was brought to my attention. His grandfather is a long-standing member in our community here, but that he came to a Juma and had asked what can he do to help. And they brought to my attention, and I told him, well, hey, there's a lot of things we got. And he happened to be involved in some kind of way in the, I would say, the entertainment world. And like I said, we got a 1,000-seat auditorium out there. We have potential for teaching children all kind of things. We can make plays. We got enough space. We got studios, recording. So there's a lot of things that he probably could bring to the building that would generate capital to help us do the other work. So we're looking to hear from him and see if he's serious about helping. what he will bring, just the skills that he already does. And that's what we're looking for, those who got those skills, carpentry, plumbing, whatever, electrical, got those skills, and they really got them. I mean, they're not, trying to be training, and we need people to know what they're doing, what have you. And I said, we got a big media center there with all the studio rooms and everything else, because this was a performing arts school. So there's much we can produce there that could generate capital, and a person like him in this industry could help us jumpstart that, and that will give us the capital to get our school fully open to teach every subject on the planet Earth, from the agriculture to all the things that's needed now, science of the top line situation. We have a physical facility that's able to do it athletic-wise. I understand we have some relationship with some of the basketball people to be able to come out there. We got a big gym. Bleachers come out both sides. We still need work there, but it's ready to go. A couple of our conventions ago, we had boxing there. We had when our first Jumas was inside the gym, so it's there. We just need to get some of these Muslims who are involved in athletics and etc. to come help us. Help us, those youth out there, and get them going. Run basketball courses. We got a big football field out there. Those are Muslims who say they're in football, they're in this. We got a tennis court out there. Baseball situation. You got very few in the sport of baseball nowadays. Very few African Americans in it. Most of our brothers and sisters from different Caribbean islands and stuff are dominating it. But let's get our children back into the sports. In terms of they're clean, what's their sports. So we need all that help. We got the facility. Sometimes that's the most hardest thing. But we got a facility, bought and paid for. We just need the help now to help us bring this facility up to the top of the line situation that we want it to be, so it can service our entire community in America. It's that big of a space, and then all these businesses opportunity we have there to come in and open up businesses there, get homes there, etc. So we can have a place that now we have a community. So I'm reaching out to all of those who make good intentions and say they want to do something, but do something now. And if you're not going to do something, just say you ain't, so we can get you off the list. You say you can do something, let's do it. Come and see it, do it. If not, then okay, thank you very much for your intent, but we're going to keep moving then. I know I can't depend on that. So this procrastination about it has got to stop. If you say you're going to do something, do it. That's me. I say I'm going to do something, it's going to be done. Inshallah, God willing. Yes.
Could you just emphasize again the importance that Islam not having its full picture unless it's in a community setting?
Yes, the picture of Islam as community, as God says, arise out of you a community inviting all to what is good. This is our holy book, Quran, is investment in the individual. The investment in awakening the individual to his or her responsibility is what will generate the forces needed to establish that investment in community. So the book of God, as Imam Muhammad has said on many occasions, it doesn't have anything in it per se about building community until we get to that latter part that I just mentioned. It talks about addressing the individual concern to build that individual up and what have you. And if you build the individual up, him or her are going to automatically expand to where I want company in this goodness that I got. I want company with me to share in this situation. And how's that done? In building of a community. So our investment in Islam is what we're doing out there ourselves, but the things we're doing is investing in the individual who wants the positiveness. Invite my gospel brothers and sisters who got a positive message and they can enjoy an environment. And this skating ring, this comes out from Imam W. Muhammad. When he was speaking a few times and he was talking about building a community, and one of the things he mentioned was a skating ring. Having a skating ring is a place of enjoyment and what have you. It's an environment in terms of that. So build the individual. Get to the individual and build the individual, and the individual himself naturally is going to inspire to want to be in a life where all of those who are seeing like him and her are seeing will be together and enjoy the best of each other's company. So that's where we're at. And it takes economics, it takes money, it takes physical skills and knowledge and what have you. We got it. I don't know of any other place within quote unquote our community that any of the imams and imams have this kind of profile. And it's the profile that Imam Muhammad told us to go for and that he had been working for, that have this kind of situation, whether it be here in New York, all of the blessings and great things we've been able to achieve here, or whether it be in Virginia, the 130-something acres there, or whether it be in Michigan, in Inkster, Michigan. Great opportunity for good people to break out and come and add. Don't come with schemes and plots and trying to sell me black seed and black oil and some other some vicar beads and some whisk wax and some other. No. I'm not going to be used by somebody else. Now we need a bigger picture than that, and what have you. Now some of that stuff may work and be good, and that's fine. But there's a bigger picture than that. Don't come telling me your private label soap and what have you. I mean, okay, I may buy some here and there, but we need industry. Not you. I did private labeling back in the 70s, But now I have to go from private labeling to building an industry. So that's a good start. But don't give a false picture of things. And in this month of Ramadan, we try to stay on the most highest positive mode that we can stay, and what have you. But we got to meet the challenges of reality at the same time. And matter of fact, we've had a person send us an article for the paper that really they were instructed that the paper, if you're going to send us an article, it can't be no more than 2 pages, 3 the most. We don't, what's the name? But our paper is a paper of positive presentations. Our paper's always been of inspiring. That's in the paper. They're inspiring. Inspirational things and etc. But the person wrote something, and they wrote it in it's more like a family issue of a situation of really it boils down to when I skimmed through the writings, which was 23 pages. We asked for 2 or 3. I know what the heck, there's a book here, but it wasn't in the spirit of Ramadan. It was an issue that was legitimate to the person. Because by reading it, they were writing it like in the third person. But when you read it, you can see it was them who they were talking about, their own self, their own experiences. And in this month of Ramadan, that just doesn't work. And most issues in family should stay within family. That's the book of God. You don't throw your dirty laundry out in the street. I don't care how popular the devil has made it for television. When you turn it on, I can't think of the name of these folks. Crazy shows. I can't think of the names. I guess I'm blocked because I don't know what's the name of it. But Crazy Eddie show, or this one talk about the Hollywood star and what they do. Just insane stuff and what have you. And this merit up to that I was skimming through. I'm like, this is insane. And you want to know why you went through what you're going through? Well, look what you have just put on paper, which is you're going. Look what your thinking is. Look how your thinking is. And then this is Ramadan. How can you carry this burden with you in Ramadan? Ramadan should have been able to relieve this if you believing in Allah and His Messenger. Ramadan would not allow you. Ramadan would let you look at yourself first as the first problem. And I can see that that's a problem. You got a real problem. But the problem is your own self, your own influences, and your own choices. But in Al-Islam, the marriage life is sacred. And it's made sacred by the family of both parties. And if you ignore the family of both parties, then whatever escalates of negativity in your marriage, going to have a more difficult time because you have not followed the book of God in terms of, as I say on many occasions with so-called marriage information and what have you, the first thing you want to do is you want to see his family and her family. Because you courting her, she's courting you, but the family ain't courting either one of you. They don't have to put on any extra makeup, no nothing. When you see them, they hat backwards and hey, what's going on, man? They like that, Ain't got to do that. But for you, each other, when you see each other, y'all both gonna have your best foot forward. So if I'm gonna know what's the environment that you raised in, then the book is telling me, go see your mother and father. Go see your brothers and sisters. Go see the aunts and uncles, even those you call aunts and uncles because they have that kind of influence over you. See them, because if something goes wrong in that marriage, they have the right to be involved. I don't have the right as imam. I have no right to be involved in anybody's marriage, except for would be my own or my children and etc. and what have you. So again, I was skimming through this stuff. I see the trouble is, how can you fall into this now, and now you want to complain about etc. This is what we took to his family. You don't put your business in the street like this. This ain't, damn, I can't think of these crazy name things they have on TV.
Rovi Povic and
Yeah, all this up there, sit down with Dr. Quiz, what's his name?
Phil.
What's his name is?
Dr. Phil.
Phil, yeah. I'm sorry, Philip, Sit down with Dr. Phil, act like a fool on national TV. What is this here? This is not Islam. We don't do that. Islam says take this to the family, the ones who best know you. So when you got a complaint against him or he got a complaint against you, they'll be able to tell you, girl, good and well, he's right. You did do that. Boy, she's right. You did do that. They have authority. But if you dismissed them and didn't deal with them, now you're on your own. No one else has no right to intercede with that. Your brothers, your sisters, your aunts, your uncle, your mother, your father, all of those you call family members, etc., they have a right by God because they know you. You come in there, oh, he did this and he did that, and I'm hurt and I'm paining, and the cousin, brother, and one man say, listen, Judy, now good and well, you started that, all right? I know you did, because you've been starting that since we've been 4. They can do that. Mother and father can just say, calm down. We told you to go see his family and everything else before you you wouldn't listen to us and what have you. Now you're in this mess and you want to blame everybody except for you. So these are kind of things this is what Islam invites you to. You ain't gonna write no book about X, Y, and Z in the month of Ramadan, and tell me they got somebody else gonna publish the whole thing. Well, go ahead. Think don't publish that kind of stuff. Are there some real things? Yes, they are, but take it to your family from day one. You want to get married, you go see his family. You go see her family. And if they won't take you to see their family, well, that's a sign in itself. They tell, well, my family ain't here, they're in Africa on the island of back in the woods. Well, we're going to go to the plane, go over there and see them, Jack, because I ain't having you try to see what woods you came out of. So this is serious, it hurts that you see somebody, you go like that. And then they're not even tied to our community. You're not tied to our community in terms of that. Muslims will be all together, I got that, but you ain't under this influence. But yet you want to publish your bad news into our, why? This paper ain't no paper like that. I think ain't never been no paper. It's all about inspiring. That's what I try to do, get good news bringer. Bad news, keep it to yourself. But family. Take that book and bring it to the family and give it to them. And let them give you their commentary on it. They probably gonna do it and just say, yeah, right, okay, All right, Sue, we know this ain't all his fault. You made a big part in that. Because ain't this your 3rd marriage? Ain't this your 2nd, 5th? Him or her, you got to know these things. You got to know these things. Marriage requires work. Marriage requires one of the most dedicated work that you got. It's work. And then you got to work to keep the outside influences out of it. And that's a difficult task. As long as you got a television in your house. Yeah, as long as you got a television or radio or something, difficult task. As long as you got a phone, you can gossip with this one and that one. So this is a serious matter. And it hurts that I see somebody writing something like this and what have you in the month of Ramadan in particular. But to have that at all and like I need to let everybody else know my business and what I didn't did, but doing it from a false pretense, like you're talking about somebody else. When clear, when you start reading it, the one writing this is you into this thing, and that shows about you too. You're writing this, but you make it like it's somebody else, and that this must be the worldwide concern among women. That the Muslim man, this and that the other, and the Muslim man, and this and that the other. Okay, all right. So I know they hear me, they're gonna get me for sure. And come on with it, man, because marriage life, man, my whole life I wanted to be married and what have you, and them children and everything else. But I couldn't wait, you know. And God favored me that I did it. I did it against all odds. I did it. Stayed when I know it was not for me to stay, but stayed anyway because I was not going to allow my children not to know who their father was or is in terms of where he stands. And at the same time, even though they were difficult, and as they get older, they could see the difficult, I let them know, no matter what you do, don't you ever turn on your mother. I don't care what you think you see. And we heard with divorce or separate, whatever it is, don't you ever turn on your mother. You stay with your mother. I'm going to be all right. And if I hear that you did something against your mother, I'm coming and looking for you. That's Islam. Huh? That's Brother Pasha. Don't play that kind of stuff. You stay with your mother. Because why? What did the prophet say? What did it tell him? Say who? Your mother. Who? Your mother. Who? Your mother. I followed out those instructions. When I didn't even know him. I wasn't in Islam, but that was the spirit that God had already given me. Say, no matter what the story is, no. But Daddy, we see Mommy. No. You see what you think you see, but you don't see it all. Don't worry about it. I'll sleep on that grass over there. Don't you worry about that. I'm good. I'll see you when I get ready to. Don't worry about it. Keep going. But stay with your mother. Help her out. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. She's telling you this and that, the other. Mama tell my own sister told my sister that told my sister all kinds of things about me. And my sister, unfortunately, my younger sister, she called me a twin. Unfortunately, she didn't play the world so long. She didn't come to Islam, but she know her brother. And she went to my sister complaining about me. And my sister listened to her. And my sister said, whoa, wait a minute. You're crazier than I am. You need my medicine. My sister said, you a cuckoo than I am. My sister's she's on medication. And my ex-wife, she come to her complaining, he and this, that, I said, my sister was there looking at her like, huh? After a while, she said, wait, you crazy as I am. You need my medicine. Where you take this pill? I'm really getting in trouble now. That's a fact of the matter, fact of the matter. So praise be to God. I think we're only going to do 2 segments because I ain't got myself in trouble. But alhamdulillah, anything else? No. Go ahead, Philip.
Brother, ma'am, do you have anything you'd like to share from Imam W. Muhammad?
Yes, always. Praise be to God. Let us break and let me come back and give you what Imam Muhammad has said, God willing. And we thank you and we pray to God that in our efforts to explain things that we don't say anything to be offensive or what have you, but we're sharing love. And love is telling you the truth of the matter, even though sometimes it hurts. So we look to get back with you again, and inshallah, we'll move on to our next segment from Imam W. Muhammad directly. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.